Common sense is at an all-time low and denial is a motherfucker. That's why I'm going to present you with the facts and expect you to do the heavy lifting with your critical thinking. First and foremost, the Mississippi River is the true Nile. In Isaiah 11:15, it says, "And the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the 7 streams, and make men go over dry shod." That's what it says. The Nile does not do this. But you know what does? The Mississippi. Second point. The Mississippi still runs through the ancient cities that it ran through in the beginning of time: Thebes, Cairo, and Memphis. You have been made to believe that we named our cities after modern-day Egypt, when in fact that is not true. Modern-day Egypt named its cities after our cities in ancient America, which is also ancient Egypt. And before this video gets too long, I'm just gonna add in a final point. Did you know that the Americas have more pyramids than the entire planet combined? Yeah. We'll get into the Grand Canyon on the next video.
Yes, the lack of common sense and the lack of common education is at an all-time high, as displayed on this video. So first, let me do a little bit of this heavy lifting that she claims, which is really light lifting if you're able to use common sense, common knowledge, and logic. The first thing that you want to understand is that the Mississippi River does not branch off into 7 different rivers. In order for the Mississippi River to branch off into 7 different rivers, that would mean, according to your Isaiah and according to your statement, that the Mississippi feeds 7 other rivers in order for it to branch off into 7 other rivers. Now, when you point out the rivers that you claim, for instance, the Red River, the Tennessee River, the Ohio River, the Missouri River, guess what they all do? They all feed into the Mississippi River. You see, the Mississippi River flows south, and all those rivers that are north of the Mississippi are feeding into it. I recently was at the Tennessee River. It flows into, not even the Mississippi actually, it flows into the Ohio River, and then from the Ohio River, it flows into the Mississippi River, meaning that it feeds the Mississippi River, meaning that the Mississippi River is a branch off of the Ohio River. It's a branch off of the Missouri River. It's a branch off of the Red River. So no, the Mississippi River flows south. So therefore, it cannot create those other rivers. Those rivers create the Mississippi River. Now, if you want to understand why the Nile River today does not branch off into 7 rivers, well, in the time frame of Herodotus that he explained in his book Histories, the Nile Delta has been artificially dammed up. It has been artificially irrigated. So therefore, the terrain of the Nile River today is absolutely nothing like the Nile River was in ancient times, when your so-called book of Isaiah would have been written in and around that 5th, 6th century BCE. So let's look at what historians during that time frame said about the Nile River. So according to Strabo, the Nile, as it enters Egypt, divides itself into 7 streams and forms the delta. The streams are 7 in number. Pliny, in Natural History, we're talking 2nd century, the River Nile, after flowing through the length of Egypt, divides into 7 different channels, which forms the delta. Now that might have been a little too European for you. So what the Efu text says, which is an Egyptian text, the Nile divides into 7 mouths, enriching the land with its waters, bringing prosperity to the fields and the life of the people. The Shabaka stone, another Egyptian artifact. The river, with its 7-fold flow, nurtures the land and its people, bestowed by the gods to ensure abundance and fertility. And just so that you have even more understanding of it, the hieroglyphs and the papyri demonstrates that in the time of King Ptolemy, which would have been after Alexander the Great had conquered Egypt, They said that the canals and the branches of the Nile River are maintained to ensure that the fields receive water, thus guaranteeing the prosperity of Egypt. They built dams and canals in order to irrigate the land, so therefore these kings have changed the way the Nile Delta looks like over centuries, and those things still have been in place. But this is a list of the 7 historical rivers that flowed from the Nile in ancient times. This is what those writers would have been thinking about, would have seen as far as what was going on in Egypt and in that Nile Delta. Take your time, pause the video and go and research each one of these, and you'll find that in ancient times, at the time frame of these writings, that's what the river looked like. Now, the lunacy of the other statement is the fact that the cities of Memphis and Cairo and Thebes were originally named in ancient times in America, when we have absolutely all the proof in the world that the Choctaw and the Chickasaw tribes that migrated and came into the Mississippi Valley region, who were the original settlers of that land, never named it Memphis, Thebes, or Cairo. These were names that was given to this land by Europeans from France and Spain, who in their conquering of this land and taking of this land, seeing the Mississippi River as a similarity to the Nile, decided that they was going to name those cities after these Egyptian cities. You're basing the fact that there are more pyramids in America than there are in any other place of the world. Well, America is vastly larger than those places in most countries in the world. And during the time frame that people were building memorials and homes and gathering places out of earthen material, the most common shape is a pyramid. That is why you see them all over the world, because if you give any kid blocks and they build a building, more often than not, they're going to build a pyramid. It is only through modern times that we started building things more straight up. I would say from the medieval times up until today, we've started building things more straight up or in other shapes. But for the majority of the people around the world, they built pyramids. It has absolutely nothing to do with your Bible. Where all of this comes from is the fact that there is this group of black people in America who try their best to separate themselves from Africa, separate themselves from the primary heredity that they have. For whatever reason of shame or guilt or embarrassment that they have because of the transatlantic slave trade, they try to separate themselves and claim that they were already here. Sure, I got a few people in my family heritage that were Choctaw and Chickasaw and Creek. But the overwhelming majority of my heredity comes from Africa. And regardless of what they went through, I'm damn proud of what they were able to survive through and continue to elevate themselves to not give up and quit. I don't kick their experience to the curb and treat it as if I don't want to be a part of it, because I'm damn proud of my ancestors. And I've already debunked the whole Grand Canyon video in a previous video. An Arizona newspaper with a slow news week created a hoax. And that's all it's ever been, a hoax. But y'all remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.